Now we move to the fun part. Teach backs. And we know, again, this is not for judgment. This is for working together to understand and to try things out. So that's the whole deal. Today, this says teach for no more than 5 minutes. I believe the slides today give you a little more space in terms of time because these are meaty slides. So I will not spend too much time. I will go ahead and say that Joya is our first teach back. Is that right?
Yes, I'm here and I'm ready.
You're ready to rock. Well, Joya,
I'm ready to rock and roll.
I'm going to put you there and you take it away.
All right, thank you. Good morning, everyone. So we just heard that empathy is the really secret sauce that creates connection. When we listen with empathy, we become a vessel for others to explore their feelings. As we've learned, listening is not a soft skill, it's a hard skill, really a requirement for leadership and in our lives as well. We learned that listening is the most helpful thing a person can do for another. The ability to truly listen to and communicate understanding of another person's point of view really is a key to successful resolution of conflicts. We also learn listening enhances trust. So in trust, how we really create rapport with people. We bond and connect with others through listening. But we also know that we can't just listen. It's not enough. We've got to use empathy so that we can develop that trust and build rapport on a much deeper level. We'll begin our discussion on empathy in its role in reflective listening. Empathy is defined as to see it as others see it and feel it as others feel it. Empathy is feeling with people, and empathy fuels connection. Empathy is both an ability to see from a personal perspective and feel from an emotional perspective. It is not really feeling for people. That would be considered sympathy. Some of you know this. My mom passed away recently on January 13th, and I got a lot of sympathy cards. And we send sympathy cards to tell people that we're sorry for their loss. We don't send empathy cards. Does anybody know why we don't send empathy cards? Any thoughts?
That's scary. That's vulnerable.
Oh, interesting. Okay, good. I like it. In my opinion, we don't send empathy cards because we have to be present with someone when we are when we're being empathetic, right? A card is a simple thing that we send, but empathy we must be present for. Through empathy, we create a deeper connection with another. And the coolest thing about all of that is they can actually feel when we are present. I mentioned my mom passing away, and on January 10th, my brother called to let me know that she wasn't doing well. And of course, I was at work that day, and I had a meeting, and I went to meet with a colleague, and I was, struggling with my feelings because my mother was dying. And I shared with this person that, I was sad and that she was dying. And this friend said to me, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. And then proceeded to tell me about her mother's death and what it was like for her to go through her mother's death. And sad as it was to hear her story, and I wanted to be empathetic and support her through that. But honestly, I wasn't in the mood to hear about her mother's story. What I wanted to talk about was my mother and what I was going through. And I had come to her to talk about that. And in that moment, it was all about me. I wanted it to be all about me. And needless to say, I didn't get what I wanted. And it was frustrating. Fast forward a couple of weeks later, and another friend came up to me and said, "Hey, how you doing?" And I said, "I'm okay." And she said, "I've been thinking about you, and let me know if you want to talk." I genuinely felt cared for in that moment. It was so nice, and I just felt like my heart was was being cared for by this person, and that she truly cared about me and wanted to listen to me talk about my mom and my loss, because it's deep to lose your mom, right? My connection with her was so powerful in that moment that speaking about it right now is actually making me feel my friend's presence again. And it was that meaningful to me. It was so incredibly powerful. So when you're doing this reflective listening and you are really doing your best to be there, I encourage you to listen with empathy when you are in a conflict or when you encounter someone with a problem or with some kind of hurt. You'll learn a lot about that other person, and they will be so appreciative of what you are being present for, that you are there listening to them and helping them move through whatever it is that's happening. You become a powerful being for change when you listen with empathy. Okay, I'm done. That was longer than 5 minutes, and I apologize. Thank you.
No, Joya, we're giving more time today. Lindsay, am I wrong about that?
No, we're still on track. We've got a few minutes for reflection here for Joya.
Terrific. So Joya, even though Larry and I both would like to just dive into this rich, rich experience you provided for us, would you take a moment and share with us, what did you love? What did you like about how that went, about what you did?
Okay, so I had initially had 2 stories, and I took one out. And I think it's really important for people to understand the story I told of my perspective of what it's like to not be heard and for someone to not listen, because I think we can all relate to that story. So I liked that I shared that story. I liked the idea of the sympathy card and the whole idea of what empathy is, because a sympathy card is a card. You know, it's nice to share. And what would I change? I probably would not have gone on for so long. But otherwise, I don't know. I could have. I did spend a lot of time writing this over the weekend because I wanted to do a really good job, and I think I could have spent a little bit more time. I needed to do more editing.
Okay, I love how critical we are of ourselves.
Yes.
Your preparation is obvious, and I'm going to go off the typical for a moment and speak about something else that you did, and that is the energy and the volume and the pace. It was really nice as you stepped into this, because the idea of empathy, we can get a little preachy, and the way to balance that is what you did when you started with the energy, and you were very easy to understand. Your word choices, the way you articulated, terrific. Your pace, the speed at which you spoke, and the variation of that. I thought it was really well done and probably natural for you. You likely were not intentional about that. So I just share that for everybody else as you think about how you're going to do this. Why don't we send empathy cards? Fantastic tactic. Love that for really bringing the group in, because you can stand and talk to the slide and everybody is just kind of da-da-da, you know, how we do. I got to get milk on the way home. By asking that question and then shifting to the story, you're really bringing us in a real way into this definition. And empathy, as you all know, It's the key to listening. It's the key to confrontation. So I don't think you spent too much time. I thought you did a really nice job in terms of timing. The story was good. I would do one, I wouldn't do two. I like the two sides of the coin, the one friend and then the other friend, and how that made you feel. And allow yourself to have that emotional experience as you're sharing this. That's very powerful for us. So I really felt your preparation, and I felt you really thought about how you wanted to bring this to us. So really, really nice job. Larry, I'm sure you have wonderful things to add.
I don't have a lot more to add than what you did. I'm going to tell Joya what I liked. I really liked the way you framed empathy as being a vessel. We are a vessel for others to explore their feelings, and that is really, that names the theme of what our course is about, is to help other people. And I really like the way you just put that right at the beginning, is, hey, we're here to serve people, and you just did that. I really, really like that. You connected it with trust. Sympathy card story, absolutely. Your personal story, pristine. I want to say some things that I observed about your personal story that I think all of us need to just pay attention to. It was an impactful story. It was powerful. You spoke it in a very real way, and at the same time, it didn't take you over. You have control of yourself. You're being real. Those emotions are real, and you allowed people to join you in that without it taking over what we're doing here. And so you walk that very, very delicate line of being open and sharing, and at the same time
I think we lost Larry.
I think we lost Larry.
Yeah.
And at the same time,
that's what struck me the most, is your ability to sense certain.
Larry, you're cutting in and out, and we're missing your brilliance. So I don't know if you can hear me.
Larry, we'll have to have a conversation about that when
Yes,
we
yes.
lose you. I am so honored by your comments, and I so appreciate them. Thank you. They mean so much to me. Yeah, this was a good slide for me, and I appreciate your comments. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, well, we will move on to Jules and let Larry and Joya have a one-on-one at another space and time. And Jules, are you ready to step into your teach back?
I am. And thank you to Joya for kind of whetting our appetite, as well as the Thich Nhat Hanh quotes and the brain food that we heard earlier. We've been discussing how all the elements we're exploring within the interlaced modules build upon each other, and the 5 reflective listening skills are part of that. They're not linear, they're fluid. We adapt and adjust. We think about our own tendencies and what's important to us, as well as the tendencies of others. We're striving for connection, understanding, and quite frankly, for me, that really is work. It's really about a regular practice. Some days, depending on my own resources and my level of self-care, it's really hard for me to step into that. And then other days when I'm doing well, maybe for a moment or for the day, I'm feeling that connection. It's very life-affirming, and I'm filled with hope. So silence is one of those 5 reflective listening skills. Can anyone tell me what the first is of the reflective listening skills?
Attentive behavior.
Yes, thank you. And how about the second one?
That's acknowledgement.
Yes, thank you, John. And can anyone tell me the third skill?
Door openers.
Thank you to both, I think that was Joya and John. So silence is the fourth. And again, these are not linear, but as we use our increasing mastery to know what is needed, and then we learn when it's needed. So silence, to me, is really a space of beauty. So I'm going to read how we explain silence on the slide, and then I'm going to give you some details. So silence is quieting the mind and voice so others can share. It's internal and external. Internally, we turn down or turn off the volume of our own thoughts. Externally, we don't talk so the other person can talk. Silence tells the other person, hey, this is your conversation. You've got the floor. Take your time. I'm here to listen. So then the question is, how do we silence our mind? Your mind might be racing with, well, I need to acknowledge them. So what words do I use? And what if I don't get it right? Or a door opener, what's a door opener? And how do I say it? And what if they get mad? How and when do I jump in with that door opener? Or you might even be in a place where you're like, what about me? I want to be heard. So there can be a lot going on in our mind that's getting in the way. So we need our skills and our attention to be deeply listening to the other. However, we need to silence our ideas, our judgments, the desire to soothe or to fix, or even the distraction of our own internal noise, because we might be in pain. We might have a headache, we might have a deadline, or maybe we're navigating the stimulation of anger from the other person that we're interacting with and their behaviors. So think of your brain as a whiteboard. All those thoughts, the judgments, the fixes that you've created have totally filled up that whiteboard. Go ahead and wipe it clean. Let the other person fill the whiteboard and provide their facts, their feelings, and any information that they would like us to know. So externally, as Joya spoke to and Alethea spoke to earlier, what's the pause? Take that pause in our words. We talked in the last section about the importance of nonverbals. So externally, when we connect with silence, think about your body posture. Where are you facing? Are your hands at rest? Is your phone out of sight or your computer monitor turned off? Think about your facial expressions and what might be going on there. So I'm an IS. I'm an extrovert. I'm completely driven by relationships. I love to share. I love to talk, which you will all become very aware of soon. And I love to ask questions. And for me, that's because I want to belong and I want to contribute to your well-being. And I also want to be reassured that what I'm doing is adding value. So for me in particular, silence has been an effortful cultivation. It is not always easy, and it's taken me time to be comfortable with silence. So here's a couple things that I've done that have helped me. If I recognize, using all the skills that we've been building, that I need to hear someone, or I'm striving to understand someone, or even to be understood, I need to know what is true for the other person. I can guess what might be true for them, but I might be wrong. So if I pause and I wait and I calm my mind, I wipe clean that whiteboard and remember that this other person is their own expert. I have to actually sometimes say to myself, listen, listen, be open. This gives space for them to have an opportunity to connect to their own thoughts, their values, as they're able to, and then share those with me. So that's a gift I'm actually giving to myself by having silence, and I'm offering to the other person as well. So for anyone who's uncomfortable with silence or feels anxious or maybe feels on the spot in that moment of silence, my invitation for you is first to breathe. See your discomfort. Know that it's there and that it's really okay. Love your discomfort because it's giving you information about yourself and your own needs. Then take that bold step into silence and observe the beauty that it offers.
Yay. Wow. Okay, Jules, take a deep breath
Yeah.
and let us know how did that feel? What did you like? What would you like to change?
Well, in the moment, how that felt was just a continuation of Joya's sharing. It just was already on a little bit of a high from her sharing. And so stepping into silence just felt really delightful. It felt good. It's hard for me with technology. I'm a face-to-face person, so I'm looking at a computer and really hoping that folks are connecting with me, and I just don't have the information to be reassured with that.
Mm.
And then as far as what I'd like to change, because I'm an IS and I love to talk, and it's communication is a strength of mine, but as we've learned, things can always go into that sort of overuse or that extended place that's not always supportive. Being concise to work on regularly. So it's kind of checking in with my peers. Um, I know that Julie's on the call, Julie Zumach, and being able to go to someone and say, hey, how was that? Was that too wordy? Was that something that I could adjust? So knowing that's something that I need to follow and get feedback on so that I can continue to work on being concise, but also being effective and engaging.
I love that you're aware of those things you want to work on for yourself. That is huge. The self-awareness, knowing. I mean, for me, I over gesture sometimes, and I can be a little too crisp. I can go a little fast. So I love that you're aware of that. And I would say that to all of us. None of us get there, whatever there is. We're always so nice. There's a little feedback somewhere. So if you're not muted and you're not speaking, please do that. Jules, I would just say that your tone and your mood as you stepped into this were exactly right. You're teaching, guys, you're teaching skills, right? The 5 reflective listening skills. So this isn't necessarily a big emotional experience. We're teaching the skills. And that's where you were. And that gives me safe space to say, yeah, this is hard for me too, sharing your personal experiences. I'd also point out that that strategy of yours to remind us of our building blocks and remind us that we have different needs and that our different needs speak into even our ability to be silent. And you might mention that even there as an IS, you don't have much in you. You know, your I really isn't that interested in being quiet and listening, and your S wants to help everybody. So things like that, because then when you moved into your examples and you brought it back, really, really powerful, really powerful. And it gave me, as your learner, the opportunity to apply that to myself as well. What are my needs going to be? I loved your steps, telling people, inviting them into listening and saying, breathe, love your discomfort. Those are powerful images that you're creating for us. So I thought you did a wonderful job, and I thought your pacing was, again, really good. I want to give you guys a sense of how quickly or slowly or how you're using pace to capture attention, to keep people engaged, to slow it down, to get them to lean into you. So very, very nice job, Jules. Larry, could you please share thoughts for Jules? I'm hoping Larry's microphone is working better.
There we go. Let me try that.
Awesome.
All right. I'm changing technology here. So that was my little hiccup there. I was the cause of the echo a few minutes ago. Jules, I really appreciate the way you framed this, and you prepared the group for what you were going to talk about. You pulled in discussion. I think that was great. You will weigh that as you learn facilitation when that's appropriate. And so thank you for exercising that. Your whiteboard analogy is beautiful. There was someone that had mentioned, I think it was Kristen, that said, now I know how to teach these slides. Great. I agree with that. I appreciated you encouraging us and telling us to take the bold step of exercising silence, because it is. I think you've experienced this. You are sharing from your experience and what it's like. So those feelings are coming through. And to tell people it's okay. that it's silent is just, it's just a gem. So thanks for bringing that out. You have a very warm demeanor, a very easy to listen to speaking style. You're going to be great.
Thank you for the feedback. It's very helpful and appreciated.
And thank you all for your feedback on the chat. I know that our Teach Back folks are going to really enjoy that when they have a moment to just read through those, and for encouraging each other as well. We are learning how to teach from each other, and yay, I just really, really acknowledge your preparation, both of you, today, and encourage everyone going forward. As you teach, you're helping us learn too, and we're really helping each other prepare for St. Louis and for our classes.